Srivastava, our members, or to the attendees of this program. So this program is conducted in association with IOV Research Values Foundation, and I would like to introduce Mr. Chaitanya, today's speaker. Mr. Chaitanya is an energy sector professional with 25 years of experience in thermal power, green energy, and consulting. He holds a BTech degree from IIT Kanpur, an MBA from IIM Kolkata, and is a certified PMP. He is a chartered engineer and an IBBI registered valuer under L&B and SFA categories. It is, I think, he is one of the few who holds both certifications under two different categories. One is an L&B valuer, and the other one is SFA, which is one of the rarest feeds. He is also a founder. He is the founder of SRU Engineering Technologies Private Limited, specializing in sustainable project feasibility, engineering, and management. And he would be covering the following topics: what are all the green projects? What is the business model of green projects? And he will present a case study also on the financial feasibility and of a standalone energy storage project. Now the session is open to you, Mr. Sri Chaitanya. Please educate us on the valuation of green projects. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the warm introduction. And good morning to everyone. Am I clearly audible?
Yes.
Yes. So again, good morning to everyone, and thanks a lot to Bangalore Valuer Association for giving me this opportunity to share my knowledge and experience with fellow professionals and valuers. And to all the people who have joined this session, thanks a lot. So this is, you are all very senior and experienced professionals. So this will be more of a discussion. Of course, this topic is little new, but I'm sure most of you know a lot about these topics. So I'll present, but I can also get to know your comments, your experiences, and together we shall enrich ourselves. So without taking much time, I am sharing my screen. Is my screen clearly visible now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, 1 minute. So nowadays we hear a lot about two topics. One is sustainability. Whatever be the field, we hear about sustainability, whether it is a Fortune 500 oil and gas company or the most polluting, steel and coal companies, and any business. So, and rightly so. And second, we hear about, all the AI and ML and all those things. So that is why it is pertinent to understand what are the green projects, and we will then understand. Of course, business models could be different. Many business models could be there, but we will broadly look at such kind of. And here, when I am talking about green projects, typically I'm talking about projects which are little big, because when we say project, what is a project? Project is something which has a start date, which has an end date, and which has a certain budget, and which defines certain quality, that after the project is completed, we get a product. Now, that product could be in form of any asset. It can be physical asset or it can be a service delivery. But whatever product we are getting, that product should conform to a certain quality parameters. which the owner, the primary beneficiary desires. So a project has a starting date, end date, and between these two dates, there are certain activities, and therefore we build a project schedule. It has a certain budget and quality parameters. So here, when I'm talking about green project, typically I have in mind projects which are little large in size, which we call capital projects, or projects which are having little more time, more than roughly around 6 months, 1 year, more than 1 year, and projects which are having huge budget. Then we will discuss about a special category of green projects, which are energy storage projects, because energy storage, we will shortly see that why it is important to complement green projects. Otherwise, green projects or especially renewable energy, this will not in itself suffice to give us the desired output. So there, see, what we all understand, green means something which is sustainable, something which is not disturbing the nature. It is not we know that fossil fuel or some of the natural resources of the earth are limited. And the way we consume it, we have been consuming it for last 200, 300 years in the industrial age. So those resources have become limited. So green projects are those projects which are in harmony with the nature, and which, even if these projects utilize the natural resources, they replenish it. So, for example, renewable energy. So we will see what are we all know, solar, wind, hybrid. So these are all examples of renewable energy. So why it is called renewable? Because it does not take coal or gas as its primary raw material. So it takes the wind and sunlight, which is abundantly available in the nature. So that is why renewable energy. Or even if, for example, biomass project, even if I take biomass, which is wood or biomass material, which has a calorific value, then it can be replenished. It is not limited. I can do more plantation, and depending on the nature of the species, in whatever 5 years, 10 years, I can grow, I can replenish it. Then water management, waste management. So water, I don't need to explain. Water again is limited, and similarly waste management. So most of you are living in metros. In every metro, there will be a big landfill, and I am in Delhi NCR, so we know that there are 3 4 landfills. One is Gazipur, Okla, Bhalsawa. And if you open the newspaper, every second, third day, there is some news related to landfill, that there is fire, or there is a lot of pollution, a lot of bad smell. So any kind of waste management which is preventing the waste to reach the landfill, also which is utilizing, recycling, and then reutilizing the waste material. So that is also a form of green project. Energy storage, we will talk about. Energy efficiency and green building. So in our country, there might be power plants which are maybe 40 years old. Those are installed in 1980s, and those still might be running. Many state government, state-owned power plants. So generally, life of such plants, especially in financial modeling or for accounting purposes, is taken as 25 years, 30 years. But due to better maintenance or R&M, renovation and modernization, those plants are still in very good condition, and lifeline of a state's power need. So in many of such projects which are more than 20, 30 years old, so technology is going ahead. So there might be many equipment, compressors, motors, generators, pumps. So if those equipment might not be that energy efficient. So in India, Bureau of Energy Efficiency is a body under Ministry of Power. So they set a standard for energy efficiency. So what do we mean by energy efficiency? Energy efficiency means that as the name implies, that the equipment is more efficient. If it is more efficient then for the given amount of power that it takes as input, it delivers more output. So that is why it becomes important that it takes there is less wastage. Green buildings now, increasingly there is growing awareness about green buildings. So what are the green buildings? Green buildings are those buildings which minimize the resource use. So these are the buildings where you need less of AC, because the whole building is designed in such a manner that the cooling requirement is less. The window is so designed, the glass facade is so designed, the orientation of building is such that you get ample light, so that during the day you don't need to switch on full lights. And also the thermal requirement, AC requirement is less. Also these buildings, they manage their waste, and they also have lesser of water requirement. So, and also they they are in harmony with the nature. They try to preserve, for example, when a green building is being constructed, then if any existing trees are there, so they try to preserve those trees, or if the tree is coming at the location of the building structure, then they will uproot the tree and reinstall it. Pardon, I am not getting the right word. So, re-establish it in somewhere within the site, or if it is not possible to replant it in the site, within the site, then they will plant 3 new trees for every mature tree which is uprooted. So these are the green buildings, and in India, under Ministry of MNRE, New and Renewable Energy, so they have adopted a standard called GRIHA, Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. So this is developed by Terry. We have other standards also. For example, some of you who are in metros, in Gurgaon, for example, you might have seen many DLF buildings or many other buildings in Cyber City. LEED. So LEED is the green building rating of United States. In India, apart from GRIHA, which is a national standard, we have IGBC, which is Integrated Green Building certification, which is developed by CII. Then we have a GEM. So GEM is the certification by ASSOCHAM. So these are the different standards. Most of these office projects, or as I said, the DLF and other big buildings are LEED certified building. Then afforestation. So we all know that because of growing urbanization, forests are getting depleted. Because of forest depletion, there are many problems: soil erosion, then there is problem of flooding and all those things. So if there is new forest or new tree are planted, so those are also categorized under green projects, and carbon credits are given for these projects. We know what is renewable energy. Most of you might be doing valuation for these kind of projects, so you all know, but I am assuming some of our colleagues might not be knowing in detail. So I don't need to explain solar. We all know that we see all around on rooftop and also ground mounted. So solar projects are basically of two kinds: rooftop projects, where let us say I have a house where my sanctioned load is let's say 5 kilowatt. So on my roof, if there is 1,000 square feet area, so I can roughly 100 square feet, I can install 1 kilowatt. So if there is 1,000 square feet area, I can install 10 kilowatt. But because my sanction load is 5 kilowatt, so my distribution licensee, whatever it is, BSES or Bangalore Electricity Supply Company or whatever, so they will allow me only to set up only 5 kilowatt. So on rooftop, I install it. Then my meter, electricity meter, that gets replaced. It becomes bidirectional meter, means it can, our normal meter, it only measures how much electricity I am taking from the grid. But when there is solar, so what solar will do? Solar will generate electricity from the sunlight as per photoelectric effect. Then it will partly supply my load. But let us say I am out of my building. I am out for vacation. Now, during the day, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock in the morning, during the day, solar will produce. Now, whatever, because I'm not inside house, I'm not consuming any electricity. So then in that case, the electricity will be sent to the grid. So having rooftop solar I not only takes power from the grid, I also export power to the grid. So this bidirectional meter, it does the net accounting. So import minus export, and I am charged only for the net power that I have taken from the grid. And that is why people say that typically if you install solar, your power, your electricity bill will get reduced to half. Of course, there are certain other considerations. For example, depending on your utility, how they are accounting for this import export, whether it is monthly basis, how whether it is properly, your bills are properly accounting for this. All those things are also important. So that is why you see that the penetration of rooftop solar is not as much as ground mounted solar. So solar power projects are of two types, rooftop and ground mounted. So when ground mounted means that, like any project, any power plant, it requires land. So solar, ground mounted solar will require land roughly, roughly you can say around 3 to 3.5 acre for 1 megawatt of solar. The capex will be also around 4 crore per megawatt. So these projects are basically megawatt size projects. Then they have a transformer, and like any power plant, it is connected to the grid. Wind is also the similar, just that it is utilizing wind. So wind, if there is sufficient wind velocity, it will move the turbine, and then there will be generator coupled with turbine, which will generate power, and again there will be transformer, and it will be connected to the grid. Green hydrogen. So hydrogen is used in many industrial applications in oil and gas for desulfurization and other processes. Then in steel as a reducing agent to convert as a reducing agent in blast furnace, and in electric steel through electric arc furnace also. Then it is used in fertilizer industry. So green hydrogen is used as a agent, as a fuel in many industrial applications. So even now, hydrogen is there. Hydrogen is being used in power plants for generator cooling, and as I said, in many industrial applications. But currently the hydrogen that is getting generated by again in through a process, for example, steam reforming process, which gives rise to a lot of greenhouse gases, carbon monoxide, and all those gases. So green hydrogen and this hydrogen is also produced by process of electrolysis. So but currently the power that it takes for that electrolysis process is the thermal power. Now, in green hydrogen, the production of hydrogen is by the process of electrolysis. Electrolyzers are there, but the input power that it takes, that power is green power. So many locations you will see that along with the green electrolysis plant for producing the hydrogen, there is coupled with it is a renewable energy project, or if it is taking power from the grid, it is green power that it is taking. Then there is electrolyzer, which is producing the hydrogen. Then there is a cleaning process, which separates hydrogen and oxygen, because, water, through the electrolysis of water, hydrogen and oxygen are generated, oxygen is separated. Then cleaning of hydrogen happens, and then hydrogen is compressed at a very high pressure of around 200 to 250 atmospheric, and it can either be stored in cylinders. Those are special kind of cylinders, where the material is able to withstand very high pressure, or it can be stored in tanks and it can be transported. It can be through cryogenic process, it can be liquefied. So India has a green hydrogen mission, and by 2030, there is a plan of producing 5 million ton of green hydrogen per annum. We don't know how much of this will be fructified. And currently, the green hydrogen is economically not competitive with the what we call the other industrial hydrogen which is present. So there are various terminologies: blue hydrogen and gray hydrogen. So currently, green hydrogen is not competitive. It is costly, but because of government support and other incentives, there is, like in the case of solar, because of lot of government support and subsidies, solar became very competitive. So similarly, there is ongoing effort that green hydrogen could be made competitive by 2030, 2035. Green hydrogen also finds application in transportation as a fuel. So I don't want to get technical. My intention is to give you a flavor of what are these technologies and what is their future use, why are they important, and currently how they are being deployed. Hydropower project, I don't need to explain. Hydro is very, very old. So related to hydro, earlier MNRE used to define any project less than 25 megawatt, less than or equal to 25 megawatt as green project. But I think later on, even bigger hydro projects have now been characterized as green project. So hydropower project is a green project, friends, because there is water. The water is coming from a height. That water has a lot of potential energy. So if that water falls from a height onto a turbine, it will rotate the turbine, and then coupled with turbine is the generator, and electricity will be produced. And that water, after hitting the turbine, that water will leave, and it will again it will go downstream. So no water is wasted. We
Mr.
only
Chaitanya,
utilize.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Considering the time,
Yeah.
I understand you're trying to give us a background, but considering it's already 8 o'clock, we request you to proceed further on valuation. Okay.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. Okay, thank
Because
you.
what happens is, we will get definitely the background, but there will be no time to listen to your valuable insights on as such valuation.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, great.
Just a humble request.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry. I'm sorry, friends. So here when I am saying hydro, so my intention is to talk about pump hydro. I will explain it. Compressed biogas. This is again like a natural gas we use. So this biogas is produced by either cow dung or municipal solid waste. So these organic material, this is utilized in a biogas plant, and we get a biogas. That biogas is after cleaning, we can utilize it as a CNG. So there are certain stations where this CBG is also being given in place of CNG. Carbon capture and storage, I will not explain. I will not explain much here on waste management. You all know composting, recycling. There are many recycling plants related to plastic waste management, electronic waste management, battery waste management. So these are all green projects because plastic, it takes more than 100, 200 years to get decomposed. Waste to energy plants, in Delhi, there is in Gazipur, Okhla, Bhalswa, there are waste to energy plants. So these plants utilize waste, and that waste is organic waste is separated, and the waste is which has calorific value, that is pelletized and used in boiler. Rainwater harvesting, efficient irrigation system, wastewater treatment, because if we utilize waste, you see in Delhi or in other cities, there is a lot of hue and cry about river pollution, Yamuna pollution. So all that pollution is because a lot of untreated water, it is being discharged into the rivers. So there is CPCB guideline that whatever wastewater is, it has to be treated before it can be discharged into the river. So those kind of projects will also come under waste management because we are preserving our water bodies. Green building, I have explained. Energy efficiency, I have explained. Smart grid is, again, I will not get into the details. Smart grid is when there is two-way communication possible with the grid. We have a huge electricity grid, and there is grid scheduling. There are regional scheduling stations. So they manage grid, demand and supply. So smart grid is digitally enabled grid, due to which it is possible to isolate a part of the grid where there is some fault or where there is some problem. So that way, due to fault in one location of grid, the entire national grid is not jeopardized. So that is a very, very big initiative, and a lot of startups are there which are working in this domain. I have already explained about afforestation. In sustainable agriculture, you hear about organic farming and all those things, and agroforestry. So those are also a kind of green projects if done on a bigger scale, because these kind of projects also enable you to get carbon credits, enable the project developers to get the carbon credit. Now I will come to the main topic of energy storage, which is our topic today. So first of all, why is energy storage important? So solar and wind, I need power during the night, especially during the night when it is peak summer or during winter. Now solar will not produce any power during the night. Wind, again, it might produce some power, but that mostly in areas where the wind velocity is higher, such as in coastal areas, Gujarat, Karnataka, some parts of Tamil Nadu. So, but I need power, and the peak power is during those times. So then then there is no option but to utilize these coal-fired and natural gas-fired power plants, and those are polluting in nature. So we are all suffering from that emission problem, AQI problem in all the cities, especially in Delhi NCR. And if you read the reports, they will say that main culprit is these big power plants in and around Delhi, not around Delhi, but in Delhi, all the thermal power plants are almost closed now. But you can see that we are between devil and deep blue sea. There is, we need power. If there is no power, our life will come to a standstill. And all that green talk, power of green projects, that will not be able to help us because we need power at the night. And nuclear, that there is a lot of issues related to safety of nuclear power projects. So those projects need to be very, very carefully designed and built. And and currently we have very less nuclear capacity. So what to do? What to do? So that is why energy storage becomes very important. And globally, governments are encouraging is incentivizing it. So predominantly there are two technologies. One is battery storage and second is pump hydro. As I was explaining, that hydro is very old technology. So in hydropower project, there is no water is wasted. But big hydropower project, there is a problem that there is a big dam, and because of dam, lot many villages get displaced. So there is large scale relief and rehabilitation, and that is why you see that Narmada Bachao and so many protests and happen, and there is lot of resistance against large hydropower projects because there are many such R&R issues are there, and those projects take a long time to set up. What are these pump hydropower projects? So in pump hydropower projects, water comes from, so there are two kind of reservoirs. Reservoirs are, you can say that these are big ponds. So from a height, there is a upper reservoir. From there, water will fall, it will run the turbine and electricity will be generated. And after hitting the turbine, water will go and that water will be collected in a lower reservoir. During the non-peak hours, so non-peak hour can be during the day, it can be during the night. So when non-peak hour is there, then electricity will be taken from the grid because this pump hydropower project is connected to the grid, and the pumps in the power plant, they will pump the water from lower pond, lower reservoir to the higher reservoir, so that when peak power requirement is there during the night, then there will be the water will fall from the upper reservoir and electricity will be generated. So pump hydropower project, it helps meet the peak power requirement, and that is why it is a kind of storage project. We will, in today's session, we will not discuss about pump hydropower project. I will just tell that what is the difference between battery storage and pump hydropower project. Before that, let me explain what is battery storage. So in battery storage, we all have inverters in our house that whenever, so there is battery in the inverter. So whenever there is grid power is off, whenever there is grid power is off, so our inverter that supplies power to our houses. So this battery is also the same battery from renewable energy sources, solar or wind, power gets generated. That power gets stored in battery. Also, if that power is not sufficient, the battery will take power from the grid during the non-peak hours. It will store the power. And during the peak hour, the battery will discharge like our inverters. So that way, this battery energy BESS, battery energy storage system. So during the peak hour, they supply the power. The difference between BESS and pump hydro is that, as I explained, hydropower projects are difficult to set up, comparatively difficult to set up. So it takes more than 2 to 3 years to set up a pump hydropower project. Also, these are capex heavy. But once these projects get installed, they are able to provide higher higher hours of storage. For pump hydropower project, it can give you storage of 4 to 5 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. Whereas BESS, due to current technological constraints, I mean, there is technology available which can give you 4 hours, 6 hours of storage, but it will be costly. So that is the main difference between BESS and pump hydro. In India, the government is planning that by 2030, around 10,000 megawatt hour of pump hydro power project and 1 lakh megawatt hour of BESS project to be installed. Now, let us discuss what are the business models, typical business models of such projects. I told you that when I am talking about business models, I am talking about bigger projects. My rooftop solar. Now, I have a simple business model. It is a captive model that my electricity bill will get reduced to half, and depending on the calculations, I will have, maybe 4 to 5 years or 3 to 4 years of uh, payback period. Payback period is less in case of industrial applications, because in industry, the electricity rate for industrial commercial consumers is higher. It is, around 7-8 rupees, depending on utility to utility. Also, due to non-reliable power or non-24 times 7 power, many industries operate DG. Now that DG power is around 18 to 20 rupees per unit. Now compare to our normal grid electricity. So it is around 4 times higher. So if you do your financial modeling and if you take DG power as a benchmark, so you will see you will get a very good payback and very good IRR. So there are two models, captive model and boot model. So we all know that in PPP projects, public-private partnership projects, we have different kind of models. Boot, which is build, own, operate, and transfer, and BOO, which is build, own, operate. So many of bigger infrastructure projects such as airport and highways and power plants, these projects are developed on this boot or BOO models. So let us discuss each of these models. So in captive model, what is the revenue stream? What is the revenue model? So revenue model, as I explained that earlier, I was using DG power, which was very costly. Now I am using my own solar, which will, let us say, okay, let me give an example. Let us say I have a steel plant in Punjab, Ludhiana. Now in steel plants, and my method of steel production is electric arc furnace. Now in such plants, almost 50% of my input cost is power cost. So I have only two main costs. One is scrap steel and second is power. Now you can see that if 50% of my input cost is power cost, then it makes a lot of sense for me to explore that if I install my own solar or if I have a captive generation, then maybe instead of paying 5 rupees or whatever 7 rupees per unit to the Punjab grid, maybe I can get power at 2 rupees or 2.5 rupees. So that differential, that saving, that becomes my revenue. So that is the revenue model. What is the key feature? It is captive. Captive means I have invested in the capex. So if it is let's say 6 megawatt of power that I have installed, so maybe 25 crore of investment I am making from my own pocket. Of course, with debt and equity combination by taking loan. And also, the life of the plant might be 25 to 30 years. So I am the owner. So I am responsible for operating and maintaining it. I can outsource it to any third party, but then again, the ownership is mine. I have already given you an example. What are the pros and cons of it? So pros and cons are that first, the pros that I am the owner, so I have full control, and of course, I this due to this cost differential, I am saving a lot of cost. So maybe after certain time, uh, I will whatever 5 6 years, depending on the economics, I will get my payback, and then it's all free power because solar does not take all these renewable power plants. They do not take much in to operate. So O&M cost is very less compared to all that thermal, coal, gas, or nuclear power projects. What are the challenges? So high upfront cost, I have to invest, and also O&M risk is there that if any fault is there, I have to replace the equipment, and so all O&M risk I have to take. Boot model. So here, first of all, typically in boot model, the other party is government. So the owner is generally government, and government goes for competitive bidding route to award the projects. Now you know what happens in case of competitive bidding. L1, and sometimes there is very aggressive bidding. So that is one big risk, that the bidding might become very aggressive, due to which my project feasibility is just hanging by a wire. If one parameter in the project gets little bit disturbed, my project IRR will, become problematic. So that is one problem. Second is that I as a developer, so I have limited time. Whatever is the project life, useful life of the project. In case of solar, it is 25 years. Wind, again 25 years. In BESS projects, it is 12 to 15 years. Hydropower projects, it will be 30, 35 years. So I have this limited window to recoup my investment. So the capex will be it depends on the business model. So there are many business models. For example, in highway projects also, there are many business models. So, so in these projects, here you see revenue stream. So let us say I am Reliance or I am JP, I am JSW. So I have got a solar power project awarded through competitive bidding route. So I will set up the plant, and then I will invest in capex, and then I as a developer. So if I'm JSW, I will invest in the capex, and whatever the output is getting generated, that power, solar power, will be sold to whatever Rajasthan Electricity Corporation or Punjab or whatever different states, or it might be sold to any other government entity. There might be intermediate. So I can sell it to Power Trading Corporation, or I can, if I am generating 500 megawatt, 200 megawatt, I can sell to Rajasthan, and 100 megawatt I can sell to Punjab. So those combinations are possible. Then this power purchase agreement. So there is an agreement which is signed, which is also called off-take agreement, because the output might be power, or output might be water, output might be any other product. So this off-take, or green hydrogen, so, or biogas. So there is this off-take agreement, sale purchase agreement of the final output of the plant, and government typically is the counterparty, where the price of the output is decided, of course, with escalation clauses, that the power will be procured at 2.5 rupees per unit or 3 rupees per unit. So that is why we read in newspapers that in the latest bidding round, solar cost has come below 2 rupees, or wind power cost has come below 2 rupees. So that is the tariff which has been discovered in the competitive bidding. And what is that tariff? That is the power purchase agreement. Now I have given you example. Now, what are the advantages? So here the advantages are described in terms of end user. End user is the government, or let's say Rajasthan Electricity Corporation, if it is entirely purchasing all the power. So they don't have to, Rajasthan state government doesn't have to invest in the capex, and they don't have to operate the plant. So all the headache is of the developer. And then what is the certainty that they don't have to, they have a certainty that, for the next 25 years, I have signed, state government has signed at 3 rupees per unit. So they can budget, they can plan, they have certainty that in this particular head, we have to spend so much money. So they can plan their budget. The challenges, I have explained here that it is again, from the point of view of the government or end user, so they have limited control over the plant because it is being operated by the developer. And then I have written here complex negotiations, but you can read it as complex tendering process, because they have to, government has to prepare a tender document, and it has to run the entire bidding process, which again takes a lot of time. And in many cases, government has to first secure the land, secure everything, all the arrangement, nearest transformer yard, and all those basic infrastructure need to be put in place before government goes for inviting the bids. So all that work also needs to be done. I have already explained the key differences, so I will not explain this slide. Again, pros and cons, we have discussed it, so I will not discuss it. Now let us come to the best model. So what is the advantage? We know that one advantage we discussed, that if battery storage is there, so I can get power. There is solar power plant. It will only produce power during the day. I know I require power during the night also, for AC, for heater, for whatever, for watching, for doing my work, for watching Netflix, for what XYZ. So I need power. And during that power, if there is battery which has stored power, it can supply me. So as a developer, if I set up a battery storage plant, so what can be my revenue model? One revenue model could be energy arbitrage. What is energy arbitrage? Energy arbitrage is that, let us say there is, in our country, there is national electricity grid and there is power exchange. There is a power market, like our, some of you might be knowing, India Energy Exchange is there, and PXIL, Power Exchange India Limited, is there, where power is traded. So, of course, supply and demand. So during the non-peak hour, there is less of demand, so power cost will be low. So during the non-peak hour, when power cost is low, I charge my batteries. So my battery is fully charged. During the peak hour, when power cost will be high because demand is high, I discharge power from my battery. So I supply power. So when I'm supplying power, I will be paid money. The procurers, the purchasers of the power will give me money. So this is the arbitrage, that I buy in low cost and I supply at higher cost. So that is energy arbitrage. Second is peak shaving. Peak shaving means, like we shave. So means reducing. So we have already discussed that if there is a industry and that industry has invested in battery storage. So during the peak hour, let us say it has 100 megawatt requirement from the grid. So during the peak hour, either it will not get full power from the grid. Let us say it only get 70 megawatt. So for 30 megawatt, it will have to run DG. DG power will be very costly, 20 rupees per unit. So during the peak hour, it can, instead of taking power from the grid, which will be costly, or running the DG power, which again will be very costly, it can get its power requirement met by BESS, battery storage. So what will happen that your peak power requirement will get reduced. So your cost you will save on your power cost. Now integration of renewable energy power to grid. So what happens that I give you an example that even if on my roof I have capacity to install 10 kilowatt, but my local BSES or my Bangalore electricity supply company, my local utility, they will restrict me that no, we will only allow you to install 5 kilowatt. So why that limitation is there? Because there is limitation of grid, there is limitation of distribution infrastructure, because the transformers, local transformers, distribution transformers might not have that capacity to take power from the additional unplanned new solar or wind which is getting integrated to the grid. Accordingly, grid needs to be strengthened, grid infrastructure needs to be strengthened. So let us say I have a location where 200 megawatt of solar can be installed, but my local grid scheduler, they say that no, we have capacity to allow only 100 megawatt. So though I can set up 200 megawatt, 100 megawatt green potential is getting wasted. So here what will happen that I will set up battery energy storage for 100 megawatt and I will set up 200 megawatt of solar, but only 100 megawatt I will supply to the grid. So what will happen? Again, that storage will come in picture. Solar will produce 200 megawatt, 100 megawatt will get stored in the battery, rest 100 megawatt will be supplied to the grid. And during the peak hour, when solar is not producing, then the stored power in the grid, 100 megawatt, it can supply to the grid. So that is how it helps integrate large amount of green power to the grid, because it is not very easy to install big transmission corridor, big transmission infrastructure. Similarly, related to this point is saving of capex in transmission and distribution infrastructure, because it is very costly. And again, to set up transmission infrastructure, there is a lot of land acquisition is required. And of course, in many areas, in hilly areas or tough terrain, it takes a lot of time and capex is also very high. So due to battery storage, that can be avoided. Then there is something called grid ancillary services. Now, why I'm discussing these benefits? Because related to these benefits are the revenue model. I will explain it shortly. So grid ancillary services is that during the peak hour, there is lot of fluctuation in demand and supply. This time summer is coming. It is anticipated that this summer will be very hot. So in summertime or in peak winter time, there is very high demand. So the electricity grid is very dynamic and there is a lot of technology involved. So if there is fluctuation beyond certain permissible limit, the grid can collapse. So these battery storage or pump hydropower projects, they provide support to the grid during these periods of high fluctuation. And due to this support, they maintain the frequency and voltage of the grid. Because if there is wide fluctuation in frequency and voltage, there will be blast, there will be power outage, very costly equipment will get destroyed, and there will be lot of damage. So there will be huge loss to the industry, huge loss to the country. So they provide such critical support to the grid. And because of that, which is called ancillary services, and the storage that they provide is called primary and secondary and tertiary reserve. So due to this support that they provide, they are provided certain additional benefits, certain additional tariff. So that is another business model that because of this peak support, grid support, they are provided certain incentives, and that also is one source of revenue for these plants. Now, let's see how much time I have. I have 1 hour, no problem. I have enough time. So these are typically the components in a battery storage plant. There will be battery packs, which is uh, one of the most important component. So there are huge containers. So like in our inverters, there are in home inverter, there might be 2 or 3 batteries. So here, so a lot of you might be, not lot of you, but some of you might be driving electric vehicle. So electric vehicle, there is battery. So what is the battery? Battery uh, module is a combination of battery cells. In our mobile, there is single battery cell. A battery module is a combination of many battery cells which are arranged in series and parallel. And a battery pack is a series of many modules. So in a rack, like in a warehouse, there are racks. So similarly, in a best container, it is like a container. So in a container, there will be a rack, like in library, racks of books are there. So there will be.
Sir, good morning, sir. This is Subbarao.
Yes, sir.
Sir, can we go ahead? Okay, because theory it has become more. Okay, because we don't have much time. The members are expecting more on valuation than. Okay, see, this is fully covered. Okay, I think so. Then okay,
Yes,
we
sir.
can go
Yes, sir.
for
I am coming to the.
valuation.
I am coming to the. Yes, yes. I am coming to the
Because
valuation.
otherwise, again, we need to give some time for members also to have the doubts on valuation of these green projects.
Yes.
Better to go for it. Please, thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
I'll directly go to the valuation. Friends,
Please.
I was explaining all these things because most of the time we need to understand what is the business model, how the project will generate revenue, because unless we know what are the sources of revenue, it will difficult, because otherwise you are all very experienced valuers. You know how to conduct DCF. I don't need to explain DCF. You know how to calculate cost of equity. All those things you are masters. So, and these are new kind of projects. These are new kind of technologies. So there is not much awareness about these in market. So if these projects come, if we have basic awareness that what is the thumb rule for capex, uh, the capex that is given for this project, because if capex is high, your IRR will go for a toss. So if we have basic awareness about what are these projects, how these projects operate, what is the revenue model of these projects, it will become easier for us to analyze that, okay, I have built a financial model, but how to see whether my financial model is just not a typical Excel calculation, but I can see whether I am right or wrong. So that was my basic purpose, to apprise our fellow valuers about business model and basic awareness. So I will directly come to. I will not get into the components. I will. So for a battery storage projects, the typical life period is 12 to 15 years. Now, why useful life is important? Useful life is important because for that period only you will run your financial model. Okay, so in our DCF, or for a company valuation, we see that for 8 or 10 years or 12 years there is revenue projections, and after that we have a terminal value. But in these projects, we don't take terminal value, because there is a useful life, and after that project there is a we have a salvage value. Okay, so useful life is 12 years. Then there is one concept of round trip efficiency. So efficiency is important because your LCOS, levelized cost of storage, will depend on what is your efficiency. So round trip efficiency means I am charging my battery and during the non-peak hour. Then in the peak hour, it is discharging. So let us say I charge it with 100 megawatt. So that is not the correct unit. Let us say I give it 1 lakh units for charging, and during the discharge, it only gives me 90,000 units. So it has a round trip efficiency of 90%. Okay. Then any solar power project or battery project, there is annual degradation. So that is depends on battery supplier. It can be 2 to 3%. So that I have in this model we have taken as 2.5% continuously. Generally, during the first year, it is higher, and then it is continuous from second to third year onwards. Then there is viability gap funding. So what is VGF? You know that government provides this support for nascent industries. So viability gap funding is typically capex subsidy, capital subsidy. So here we have assumed, based on the incentive that is currently being provided by governments, which is least of 30% of the project capex or 27 lakh per megawatt hour. This is the schedule of the viability gap funding, which is provided by the government. Once the project is installed, COD is commercial operation date. That is the date when it is assumed that project's zero date has started, means project has started. If project has 25 years life, the day one is counted from COD. So when project has been installed, then 10% of the capital subsidy will be given. After financial closure of the project, 10% will be given. On installation of the project, 45% will be given, and after first year, 15%, and then by the end of third year, entire VGF will be disbursed to the project developer. Now, in this example, we have considered the accounting treatment as per Ind AS 20, which is accounting for government grants. And accordingly, since at the financial closure time, we have got 10% of VGF, so the capex we have taken 10% less, because this is grant. So this is not taken as a loan. So these are for our financial model, this is the input that we have considered. Capacity of the best project is 500 megawatt hour. Storage hours is 2 hours. Project capacity is 500 divided by 2 is 250 megawatt. Capex of the project, this is the thumb rule that has been considered. So friends, whenever you get some of you might get a valuation assignment. Now this is important. Now we are the valuers. Some of you might be engineer, but either you can calculate capex by thumb rule, or the capex need to be given by the project developer. Now that capex need to be validated by a chartered engineer or a technical entity. We as a financial valuer will not be able to verify that. But I was explaining this because these are the components, and there has to be a bottom-up calculation of the capex. So these are the components, how much each component will cost. So we need to talk to the supplier or do our research and get to know what will be the capex. So this is not the job of the financial valuer. This will be done by the project developer, and if needed, it needs to be verified by their engineering consultant or technical consultant. So here we have taken the thumb rule, which is as per the Ministry of Power, guidelines. Now here one thing we need to understand, that if you do search, many a times this capex is quoted in terms of lakh or crore per megawatt, or lakh per megawatt hour. Now, both of these terms are not interchangeable. Both these terms are confusing. So ideally, it should be, because battery battery is storing energy. It is not storing power. There is difference between power and energy. What we consume in our houses or what any industrial project consumes is energy. Energy is power times hour. For how long my washing machine runs, for how long our equipment runs, that will determine how much cost I have to pay, how much bill I have to pay. So the appropriate term is always rupees per megawatt hour. So here I have already specified 2 hours of storage. So that is why I have a 250 megawatt power project where the battery is storing power for 2 hours. And that is why the capacity of my best project is 500 megawatt hour. So I have calculated based on this thumb rule, I have calculated what will be my capex. Now VGF as per this formula of lesser of 30% of the capex or 27 lakh per megawatt hour, my VGF is determined. Now, because 10% of this VGF will be given at the financial closure stage, at the loan disbursal stage itself. So for my financial modeling purpose, I take my capex as 62,500 minus 1350. Now, what are the assumptions for my financial model? These are my assumptions. But before that, see, in our valuation, you are all valuation experts. Maybe you might be a bigger, you might know more than me, I'm sure. So we have 3 approaches: cost, income, and market. Now, why I'm going for a DCF model? I'm going for a financial model. Because to be able to do cost approach, I need to have a historical trend, historical data in mind. So these projects are very new, in solar also, 5, 7, 8 years old in this country, large scale solar. Similarly, battery storage projects are, 3, 4 years old, even 2 years old. These are just coming up. So we don't have much historical data available. So, and we know that during the initial phases, lot of support is given by the government. Lot of the tariff is at a very higher rate. So in the 2010 or 11, the solar power projects used to be awarded by government at the rate of 10 rupees per unit. But now those are at 2 or 2.5 rupees per unit. So cost approach will not be very appropriate because of lack of historical data and because of this anomaly that during the beginning of any industry, lot of support is provided by the government and regulator. Then market approach, again, we need lot of comparable data. Now, these projects are nascent, just coming up. So there is not enough market data which will be available based on which you can say that, okay, my enterprise value per megawatt hour is this. So you will have less data. So that is why we are building this financial model. And also for taking the loan, these bigger projects are developed by taking loan at typically debt equity ratio of 70 to 30 or 75 to 25. And bankers require this financial model. So that is why we are doing this. Now we have taken cost of equity as 14%. Why we have taken this? Typically, if you see in electricity, in India, the regulator is CERC, Central Electricity Regulatory Commission. So if you read their tariff guidelines, that is the general cost of equity that they consider in their tariff calculation. So 14 to 15%. Cost of debt I have taken as 10%. Now, who will be the debt providers for such projects? It will be SBI or REC, Rural Electrification Corporation, or IRIDA. So I went and checked. So currently they don't have detailed schedule for financing battery storage projects. So, but I have taken as 10% based on the rate that they charge for solar and other projects. The useful life that I have considered is 12 years. Why? Because the PPA for battery projects, which is called BESPA, Battery Energy Storage Purchase Agreement. That is typically for 12 years. Now, rate of depreciation I have taken as 10%. The compounded depreciation I have taken for 8 years, and thereafter straight line depreciation I have considered. Salvage value I have taken as 10%. It can be more, because why I have taken 10% here? Because see, generally the battery that we use in our car, that car battery is to be replaced by end of 6 years or 7 years or 8 years. So there is fresh capex involved. Here we have chosen such batteries so that the end of life of the battery is by the end of 12 years. So there is no fresh huge capex between during this 12 years. So that is why batteries are at 70 to 65 to 70% of their original capacity by the end of 12 years. And those batteries can be given to the battery recycling plants, and they can refurbish it. And those batteries can be used for household applications, or maybe for these electric rickshaw applications. So that is why I have taken less salvage value. That salvage value can be higher. Why I am telling this? Because your financial model or LCOS, levelized cost of storage, will depend on what is the salvage value. Annual insurance cost I have taken as 0.75% of the carrying value of the battery asset, the entire project. In such kind of projects, insurance is important. Tariff I have considered as 5.75 lakh per megawatt hour per month, and tax rate is considered as 25%. Why I have considered tax rate as 25%? Because I could not get any tax rebate from the government. I could not see where there is any policy. Of course, if this policy comes, that will add to your financial model. Your model will give you better IRR. Now, I will show you the financial model, because you are asking. Is my Excel visible?
Yes, visible.
Yes. So friends, you can see that so in our typical DCF, what do we do? EBITDA, and then your interest, depreciation, other costs. So here first, in such kind of projects, we have to first consider what is our output. So in BESS project, what is my megawatt hour generation? Okay. In solar project or wind project, how much unit power I am generating? In green hydrogen project, how much kg of hydrogen I am generating? And then what is the rate of product? So I will multiply by that, because here I have considered 5.75 lakh per megawatt hour per month. So that is my rate. So I have, okay, so that is my revenue. That is my 5.75 lakh per megawatt hour per. Somebody is doing some scribbling, so please do that.
Yeah, somebody is annotating on the screen, so that needs to be avoided.
Yeah. So, so here we have not considered any escalation in the tariff. So this I have multiplied the okay. So what is my output multiplied by my generation? So here, what is this generation is C2 into 12 into into my project capacity. Okay. Because the unit is per megawatt per month. So I multiplied by 5.75 into 250 megawatt into 12. Okay. 5.75 into 12 into 250 megawatt. So that is my revenue, and I have not taken any escalation. So that revenue remains the same, and it is going for 12 years. Okay. After that, nothing. Because as a developer, after that, I have to return the asset to the government. Now, what is my operational cost? So for operational cost, I have to consider what are my O&M, what is my operation and maintenance cost. So for that, I come back to my sheet here. So in these projects, again, O&M cost will be given to you by the client, by the developer. Now again, this O&M cost need to be, if you have any doubt, you need to verify it with, from any engineer or any technical consultant. Because friends, we know that our DCF, we are masters of DCF. You are a masters of DCF. But the projections are given by the client. Now, I have control over my cost of capital. I can see that, I will study the company's balance sheet. I will, their business model. I will see that, given the historical trend, given their, all that finances, I am taking the cost of capital, cost of equity, and all those things. You will be able to correctly analyze and take, even if they don't give you any data. But when it comes to their core projections, they are the masters of their plant, they are the masters of their business. We as financial valuers, I cannot decide whether you are growing at the rate of, you will be growing at the rate of 15% or 20%, or what are your operational costs, how well you are maintaining your plant. So we are dependent on the projections that they give. Now, it might so happen that their projections might be very haywire. Those projections might be very optimistic. So, or those might not be in trend with the industry. So then we need to ask, कि sir, आपका capex is very low. What special technology you are using? What special thing you are doing? So here I have, based on my technical research, I have taken the O&M cost as 0.5% of the project capex, and yearly escalation I have taken as 2.5%. Now, here we need to understand what are the components of operation and maintenance cost. So in battery storage, the main cost is that your battery maintenance. So generally these batteries are lithium-ion batteries. These batteries typically are not that maintenance heavy as our inverter batteries, which are lead acid batteries. But still, because these are very large scale batteries, so they need to be cooled. So their firefighting cost, main cost is a cooling cost, and then this will be electronically controlled so that all the battery parameters are properly checked and controlled. So all that electronic control cost, so all those costs will be there. And based on my research, I have taken that as cost. So again, I go back to my Excel. So here, operational cost I have taken as so 0.5% of capex that I have taken. So capex, this is my capex. I have taken 0.5% of that, and there is annual escalation of 2.5%. Also, there are warranty costs. So warranty will, so generally the core battery packs will come with warranty. Those warranty might be limited for 5-6 years. So we might need to renew the warranty. And of course, there are other big coolers, HVAC. So that extended warranty might be required. So that is why there will be escalation in operation and maintenance cost. So that I have considered here. So there is this escalation. Now we can calculate EBITDA. Interest cost, how I have calculated. So we have, I have taken 12 years as the tenor, as the life of the debt. Interest cost is 10%. So you can calculate every year what will be your interest cost. So nothing hi-fi there, simple interest cost calculation. Of course, I have taken interest and principal repayment separately because interest is, we have tax advantage due to interest. Depreciation. So you are all experts. Maybe you can guide me better. For this project, based on my study, I have taken, so as I explained earlier, I have taken 10% of depreciation. The compounded depreciation I have taken for 8 years, and after that, simple depreciation at the rate of 10%. Salvage value I have considered 10%. So after 12 years, the carrying value in my balance sheet, the carrying value of the asset will be 6250 lakh. I have already explained you that this salvage value can vary depending on, you have to discuss with your client whether it will be 10% of the capex or 20% or whatever, because batteries will, after 12 years in this example, batteries will suddenly will not disappear. They will be, their capacity will be around 65 to 70% of their original capacity. So this is what we call end of life capacity. But still it will have 60 to 70% of their original capacity. So this will be working batteries. Then insurance cost, I have taken as 0.75% of the carrying value in the balance sheet every year. So that is how it has been calculated. Now, remember the viability gap funding. So 10% was given to me at the financial closure. 45% was given to me after my project got installed. So what I have done here, based on Ind AS 20, most of you are CAs, so you can, if there is anything wrong with this approach, you can do better, you can suggest better. So what I have done here, based on Ind AS 20, I have reduced the capex as and when the grant becomes, or the that viability grant becomes available from the government. So after year one, at the end of year one, I get 45% of the VGF amount. So at the end of year one, I have reduced the capex by that much amount. Similarly, at the end of year two, I have reduced the capex by that much amount. So how I have taken VGF, that as and when it is received, I have reduced the capex, and accordingly my depreciation will come down. So that advantage I have considered in my lesser depreciation, and hence my profit will improve. So rest you know how to do it. PBT, then we calculate PAT, depending on whether I am making, so here every year I am making profit, so I will have to pay tax. So you know how to calculate FCFF. So here I have only calculated IRR for the project. This is IRR for the project. This is not IRR for equity. So you know how to calculate IRR for equity holders. You will need to calculate FCFE, free cash flow for equity holders, where you will add the debt, any fresh debt raised, and So that is how, friends, I have my NPV is 5028, around 50 crores. My IRR is 10.85%. My payback period is around 6.5 to 7 years. And my levelized cost of storage is around 3.92, which is 4 rupees. Okay. Nothing much to explain here. You are masters of DCF. You know what to do. Whatever special things I have done here, BGF or O&M cost or insurance cost, I have explained what is my assumption. Debt equity 70 to 30, cost of debt 10%. So that already I explained to you in the financial assumptions. So nothing. So now let us discuss the results. Now you can see that IRR is not very attractive. Now you might come across certain DPR or certain presentations, certain reports where they show you IRR as very attractive, 15%, 20%. So, friends, my background is power and renewable sector. I'm basically an engineer. So, this is where I have some difference with very rosy projections that are given. Earlier, before I was a valuer, before I was a pure engineer, I used to get marvel at these projections, these reports. I used to think that, okay, it sounds very attractive proposition. But the more I started digging, so from my personal experience, I'm telling you, I executed two hydropower projects. And when I was going through the DPR of those projects, the IRR was shown as more than 20%, around 22 to 25%. But it was a distressed project during 25 to 2015-17. And that is where IBC had come. And the project I was executing, that project was distressed project. And as I started executing that project, working at site, then I discovered that how difficult that project was. And the IRR was very less when we actually executed the project. So that is how IBC was recently enacted, and I got attracted to IBC, and then I subsequently became a valuer. So that is a long story. I am not an IP, so I am a valuer. So that is where I discovered. I'm not criticizing anybody, but just I am trying to, as you might have seen that in this entire presentation, I was less in the hat of a valuer and more as a technical person, because you are all experienced professionals, you are masters, you might have your own YouTube channels, or you might yourself be taking classes. So I don't need to tell you about valuation, but as my own experience, I'm sharing that sometimes due to for other reasons, as consultants, many consultants, they prepare very rosy DPRs because they have to take bank loans, and bank will not finance unless very good IRR is there. So sometimes certain finer technical complexities are overlooked, and ultimately your revenue will come depending on how much you are producing, how much power you are producing, how much green hydrogen you are producing, how much biogas you are producing. If there is any power, any problem related to your plant is shut, all your projections will go for toss. You will not produce. So your financial projection will only be in your Excel. And that is what happens in these projects. In this project, I myself am little uh, curious, because you see levelized cost of storage is coming at 4 rupees. The IRR is at 11%, roughly 11%. You can see that the NPV is barely positive. If I make in this model, if I make revenue as 5 lakh per megawatt per month, my NPV might just become negative. But if you search, you will see that in the recent bidding, there are projects at much less you will see that even 3 lakh rupees per megawatt per month, at that tariff, the projects have been awarded. Now, I'm not saying that those tariffs are wrong. Those tariffs might be a bit. There are certain strategic decisions are involved, because let us say I'm a developer. Let us say I'm JSW or some developer. I, as a management, I might decide that, okay, अगर NPV थोड़ा negative भी आ रहा है, this project is of strategic importance to me. I might need to back this project because I'll be the first in the country to set up this project of this scale, and I will gain certain experience, and then I'll set up many independent boot project, captive projects, or in the next project I will bid more smartly. So there might be certain strategic reasons, and because I am a large developer, so my cost of production, my actual capex will be quite low, because in these projects, if you are a very large developer, so your cost of production, because of scale effect, your cost of production is very less. So those things will only be available at an individual project level. If I am a valuer and I have to produce a generic model, I will not be privy to the specific client's business secrets. So that is why I'm not saying that 3 lakh rupees or 2.5 lakh rupees per megawatt hour per month, per megawatt per month is wrong. But that might be strategic tariff. So levelized cost of storage also, you see that it is 4 rupees per unit. In certain biddings, you might have seen as 3.5 rupees or less than 3 rupees. In SECI bidding, Solar Energy Corporation of India is the body of Government of India, which conducts all these biddings. It is the nodal body. So, and you can see the payback period is around between 6.5 to 7 years. So that is comment number 1. Comment number 2, which I want to make here before I open the forum for question and answer, is that as I explained here, friends, what here, this was a stand-alone project that we modeled. Generally, typically, what we model is in captive model is the cost saving, that my DG cost is 20 rupees per unit. If I set up my BESS, it will cost me 4 rupees per unit. So there is saving of 15 rupees per unit. And so I will get very attractive IRR. Here you see IRR of 10.85%. If you model 15 rupees saving, you will get IRR of 20%. I am pretty sure about that. So, but if it is a large BESS project, and if it is connected to the grid, and if it is providing this additional ancillary services, additional services to the grid, as I explained, those services are maintaining the voltage and frequency level in the nationwide grid, which is a very, very critical service. And because of that, I will be incentivized by the grid scheduler, Grid India. So those incentives, those additional revenue also I need to consider. Now, what are the challenges in considering those revenues? First of all, in our power exchange, either government, clearly there is a government policy and government says that if you provide this service, voltage stabilizing service for these many hours, you will be given incentive of this rupees per hour of support provided. Right now, there is no such clear incentive by the government. Or in the power market, there is such kind of tariff is there. Currently, there is no such tariff. Even globally also, in very few markets, I am not aware, in very few markets, such tariffs are very clearly defined. But very soon, in near future, these additional economic incentives will be defined, and then that incentive will be modeled in the financial model, and the IRR of these projects will improve, because those are the real services which a battery storage or pump hydro, any energy storage project provides. And that is a very, very critical support, because going forward, whatever Trump has come, and Trump is very disruptive, but Trump is there only for 4 years. After that, climate change is real. Solar, all this green investment is going to happen. And there is large scale integration of these green projects. The more integration is there, the more will be demand for energy storage projects, and the more will be the demand for such services which stabilize the grid. And hence, there will be definitely these projects will ask for clear incentive, clear revenue for the support that they are providing. So these two comments from my side as discussion on this result of this financial analysis. Now I open the forum for question and answer. I'm sorry if I became little technical, but my intent was to apprise you of what is the business model of such projects and what are the technicalities involved. Thank you. Thank you. Please, if you have any questions.
Sir, is there, what's your advice for, many MSME industries? MSME industries are many in India. And, what type of green projects you would advise for MSMEs? Because they are the one, who are really burning the brunt actually.
Yes, sir. Very good question, sir. So, sir, MSMEs, first of all, MSMEs have shortage of both. MSMEs are very vulnerable to economic shocks. For example, Corona, which came, many MSMEs got wiped out. So, and MSMEs also have challenge of working capital. So, MSMEs can do, what they can do is they can go for solar on their rooftop. So let us say I have a industrial manufacturing plant, or I have a industrial shed. I can go for rooftop solar. Subsidy on rooftop solar is not available for industrial plant or commercial plant. It is only available for a household, RWAs and households. But MSMEs can take loan from all these SBI and IRIDA and these places. And there MSMEs can set up a solar power project depending on their roof area and their sanctioned load. They will experience very good payback period of less than 5 years, because most of the MSMEs, they operate in such locations. Not every MSME will have reliable power for 24/7. So they might be running on DG. And if you are running on DG, your payback period will be very good. MSMEs will not get very good return from battery storage as of now, unless until MSME is doing very critical operation and almost a large chunk of their power they get from DG. So in that case, battery also, they can have solar power with battery. Otherwise, they can go with the simply grid connected rooftop solar, and that will help them.
Hey, most of them want for their internal requirement only, MSMEs actually, because we are dealing with a lot of MSME, they require for this one. But no one knows, which one is ideal for them.
Yes,
how to do that. The knowledge what you are having is, hardly anyone has actually. That's an issue.
So, sir, as I said, that it depends what kind of MSME is there. If MSME, I am assuming that MSME is there, which is doing some kind of manufacturing or some kind of process where power cost is a significant cost to them. So in that case, let us discuss two scenarios. One scenario is that my MSME is operating for 8 hours, during the daytime. So during the daytime, solar will produce for 4 to 5 hours. So if I have installed solar, which is grid connected, no battery, so due to solar, my uh, cost of power will become less than half. So my power bill will be half. It will be less than half. So that is a significant saving that I am having. And so I will have good, whatever investment I have done in solar, I will have good payback period. Then second scenario is that I have a MSME where operations take place in night also. Let us say it operates till 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock in the night. So in that case, I require power during the night also when solar is not there. So in that case, I can go for battery also. In case the grid power that I am taking, that is at a rate of 9 or 10 rupees. Also, the grid power is unreliable. That sometimes it is available, sometimes it is not available. So I have to run my DG. So in that scenario, you can do actual comparison. You can do this analysis that if I go for a solar power with battery storage, then what will be my investment and what will be my energy that I will get from my battery, what will be saving and what will be my payback. So that analysis we can do, because if I am having battery, so how much battery, how many hours of battery support it will give, that will affect my capex. More hours of storage I am going for, more I will have, more capex will be there. Also, the more hours of battery support I am going for, the more cheaper power I will get. So my capex will be heavy, but my saving will be more. So this analysis I can do in my Excel and I can advise my MSME clients. If any other requirement they have, we can discuss that.
Solar,
Because,
roughly, what is the cost sir, per unit actually solar actually?
Sir, cost of solar per unit will be, sir, uh, uh, it will be, sir, less around 3 rupees, between 3 to 4 rupees per unit, depending on type of modules, inverters that you have taken. But it will be around 3 to 3.5.
3 to 4. Okay.
On a very large scale. See, sir, what happens, I'll tell you one more thing. What happens that a question might come that, sir, in newspapers we see that there is bidding and solar tariffs are less than 2 rupees or less than 2.5 rupees per unit. But those are for very large scale projects, 100 megawatt, 200 megawatt. Those projects get the solar modules and equipment at almost half the rate as compared to, as a household. If I go to buy solar module, if I get at 100 rupees, those bigger projects will be buying at 50 rupees. So that is why this differential is coming. So for a MSME, it will be around, at 3 to 4 rupees per.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions, sir?
I have a question, sir.
Yes.
This green hydrogen projects, people are thinking about $80 billion and others. What is the viability of these projects? Because I had just come across on something in the European sector where a major French or Netherlands client is trying to do that. Company's name is Technip. Possibly you are an engineer, you know that better. So
Yes.
they are using something on driving the piles on the Atlantic or on the oceans and North Sea and other
Yes.
places.
Yes.
And they are trying to generate power. And each of them is costing huge figures.
Yeah.
When I spoke to some engineer from there, I could understand that they are not yet sure, but then they are sinking huge money. Now, with this type of thing coming up and the landscape getting altered, from the what do you experiences we had in the wind energy project in the Sahyadri Mountains,
Yes.
the overall PLF at the time of promise, you mentioned about a higher level of projections, which has
Yeah.
come down very heavily, and the PLF dropped below 18%, something around that. So,
Correct.
with this situation coming up, how do you react that these type of things will not recur in India, where the energy demand is going to be very huge?
Yes, sir. So, initially you mentioned about green hydrogen investment that is happening.
Yes.
Yeah. So, you asked a very good question, sir. There are two, three questions that you asked. First of all, you asked about attractiveness of green hydrogen. So Technip is a very big company. So they are engineering consultant, and so globally, see, green hydrogen, as I told, that it finds application in many industries. In Sweden, there is a steel plant which uses green hydrogen entirely in one of the projects. So we have done our own analysis, and uh, initially there was projection that green hydrogen very soon it will be less than around $1 per kg. It is not going to be soon, sir. We have seen that it is not $3 to $4. It is currently the tariff is going to be $3 to $4. Below that, it is becoming unviable. So in green hydrogen project, major cost is the cost of power. So I don't see anywhere it is happening very soon. It again depends on the government support. If huge government support is there, then definitely, like in case of solar, and as we are seeing in case of battery, so it can happen because both government support and technological advancement both go hand in hand. Second question that you asked is that initially euphoria is there, and lately actual performance does not measure up to that. That is very correct, sir, and that is going to happen with every technology. It is going to happen in India also, and that is normal, I would say. But that also depends on how well the project is conceptualized, designed, and operated. Sometimes I should not make this comment, but sometimes, because we are all experienced professionals, so sometimes clients, because of government support is there, so clients they are very attracted by all that government tax subsidy and capital subsidy, accelerated depreciation. So the design or engineering or overall uh, 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 planning that should happen, that is not there. So project gets installed, and that is why those projects don't actually perform as good as they should. So that danger is there. In case of India, the other question that you asked, that there is due to these green projects there is some damage. So you are very correct, sir. What happens that because of this huge this rush for huge investment, large scale uh, agricultural fields or fertile land is also diverted for installing these green projects. So, and the life of these projects is for 20-25 years. So 25 years, this agricultural potential of that land is gone. So, and also because of large size of this project, the local flora and fauna gets disturbed. Certain birds might become extinct, or certain vegetation also might become affected. So those minor sustainability effects are definitely there, and slowly we are getting this reports from environmentalists who are reporting these kind of effects. So you are very much right. Going forward, we will see these kind of impacts and these kind of reports also, and there will be some action taken to mitigate this.
Thank you, sir.
Any other question? I hope my slide was visible all the time.
Your slides were visible, sir. Slides were visible
Yeah.
and very informative. And um, we take this opportunity to profusely thank Chaitanya Jee for your wonderful presentation. On behalf of BVA, I sincerely convey my heartfelt thanks. I'm sure that this is a new area actually where most of us have not done any valuation actually. But then these your inputs would be of very highly useful to us actually. Certainly, we understand the business model, we understand the revenue model, and we know what are the things we have to take care if a valuation assignment come on these greenfield projects. Yeah, on behalf of BVA, the memento is displayed and it will be sent to you, Chaitanya Ji.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, participants. Thank you very much for your valuable time. Thank you, BBA. Thank you, sir, for patient listening. I hope this presentation was of some help to you. And yes, if any question is there, I can still take. Otherwise, my number and my mail ID is there. You can reach out to me individually. I am in the chat box. I'll give it to Madam Vijay Lakshmi. You can take it from her.
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.
Can you please
Yeah.
share the PPT?
Yeah, I'll definitely share with Madam. She'll share with
It
you.
is very, very informative.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And very
Thank you.
elaborate.
Thanks. A lot of
and,
efforts have gone into that. We are able to see that.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Profusely, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Chaitanya, just one small question.
Yes.
Credit, if someone has got carbon credits,
Yes.
how can they sell it?
Yes, ma'am. Very good question. Ma'am, carbon credit currently India has got carbon credit trading scheme. That bill has been passed. Currently, Bureau of Energy Efficiency, they are producing all the modalities for trading of carbon credits in India. It will be traded on power exchanges, that is IEX, India Energy Exchange, and PXIL. Bureau of Energy Efficiency will be the nodal body which will be managing it, and the regulator will be CERC. But if you have got carbon credits, I am assuming that will be voluntary carbon credits. It can be sold. Those voluntary carbon credits might be developed through Vera or some other gold standard, because these are the bodies which allot these credits. These are the standard and registry body. So you have to sell it in the global market, and these are where you sell it to big corporations such as Fortune 500 companies, Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Google. So these are bilateral sale. Also, there are certain carbon markets globally available. I am not currently remembering, but all these metal exchanges, all these commodity exchanges, there you will find, because carbon credit, plastic credit, these are nothing but commodities. So all the commodity exchanges, you will find that carbon credit is also traded.
So how can I get carbon credit? Like, just give me some examples. Like, how
Yes.
many, like, if I do some waste management, I'm an
Yes.
NGO in waste management. Suppose I'm
Yeah.
an NGO in waste, can I get carbon credit?
Yes, ma'am, you can get carbon credit provided you are able to prove. So first, what is carbon credit? Carbon credit is one carbon credit is equal to 1 ton of carbon dioxide emission, which is prevented from being emitted into the environment. So if I save 1 ton of carbon dioxide from going into the atmosphere, I become eligible to get 1 carbon credit. Now, if I am NGO or if I am an industry, so if I am setting up a solar power plant, so let us say solar power plant generates electricity. So if I can show that in 1 year, because of my solar power plant, I prevented 1,000 ton of CO2 from being emitted into the atmosphere, then I will be eligible to get 1,000 credits. Now, I will have to prove by documentation, by site audit. There will be auditors who will be coming from Vera or other such bodies where I will be registering my project. So first of all, I have to register my project with Vera or Gold Standard, and there will be a project documentation where I will have to describe my project, and I have to calculate how much carbon dioxide I am saving. Then the auditor will come and actually verify that if I am claiming that I have saved 1,000 ton of CO2, whether I have saved 1,000 ton or 700 ton or 800 ton, and if they verify, then I get 800 ton of carbon credit, 800 carbon credit. So I have to see that whether I am doing composting or whether I am setting up a solar power. So because of my activity, how much carbon dioxide I am saving. So now this is not only carbon dioxide, this is for any greenhouse gases which is expressed in carbon dioxide equivalent. So any carbon dioxide equivalent gases. Yes. So you have to actually, yeah.
Sorry, sir, go ahead.
Yeah. So, for example, landfill, if any waste is sent to landfill, so in landfill, methane gas is generated. So methane has, it is the global warming potential of methane is expressed in terms of carbon dioxide. So roughly, I think, around 25 to 30. 1 kg of methane is as harmful as around 25 kg of carbon dioxide. So you have to actually, with the help of a consultant, you have to see that whatever activity you are doing, how much carbon dioxide equivalent you are preventing. And as I said, 1 ton of carbon dioxide saved is equal to 1 carbon credit.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
I have understood. Thanks for explaining the basics.
Yeah.
1 carbon credit will sell in the global market how much? Just a rough idea and an approximate, if you can just guide.
Sir, ma'am, again, it is based on supply and demand. So basically, sometimes the prices were as high as $7-8. Right now, I don't know. We'll have to check on the global market. The prices might be as low as $2.
1 carbon credit.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, but you're talking about 1 ton of carbon dioxide.
Yes,
saving.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. But there are many. If you see India market, in India, everybody is a supplier of carbon credit. There are no buyers. Most of the buyers are, so there is a lot of supply because all these big projects, solar, wind, these are all suppliers of carbon credits. So the prices can be, I have to see, but the prices will not be, it will be less than, it will be around $10-15 or during the lower price scenario, it can go as low as $2, $3.
Then I don't think it's a viable proposal also to even hire a consultant or to undergo all this process, no? Unless I'm a power, like how you said, I'm a powerhouse like wind or, a big
Yes.
solar. Unless I'm that, it doesn't make any sense for anyone other than that to actually consider carbon credit.
You are right. You are right. So if you are not producing beyond a certain number of credits, all your registration cost and auditor cost will be huge. So you have to have more than 1,000, more than 5,000 credits so that it is viable. Yes.
So, but for a person who is doing such a kind of mega project, still for them it is a small money only, no?
A small money.
For them it is really small money.
Yes. Okay. Small money.
Actually, Google says it is 300 to 600 per ton.
300
dollars or rupees?
Rupees.
Ayyo.
$2 to $3, na sir? $2 to $3 it comes, na sir? That is
$4 actually. Roughly.
I was thinking carbon credit
$4 to
is something
$7.
which we can explore, like, suggesting clients, you do that, you do this, then you get carbon credits, then you sell it.
So this is
I
today's
was thinking it's
market.
a great idea. Thank you, Mr. Chaitanya.
This is today's market. I think going forward, future 10 years, 15 years, 50 years, 100 years, this will become more interesting and the valuable thing at that point in time?
Let's see, because future supply will also be more. So let's see.
Sir, what is the role of
Only once I have.
responsibility in this whole scheme of things?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah,
What
please
is the
again.
role of corporate social responsibility in this whole scheme of things?
So, ma'am, corporate social responsibility, they can fund all that registration cost and auditor cost, so that the project developer, any NGO is there, so they can, whatever carbon credit they are generating, 100 carbon credit, so they don't have to spend money. So there, then they can apply for carbon credits. They can sell this carbon credit and get some money. If they have to spend, NGO has to spend their own money, it doesn't make sense. But if they get CSR support, they can.
Thank you for this clarification, sir.
One small doubt I have.
Yes, ma'am.
This company specific risk, normally as a valuer, we are
Yeah.
so tempted to arrive at, what is this company specific risk? So
Yeah.
these kind of projects, is it like like a startup, I identify what is the promoters, whether how is the management, what is the any technology specific, like that should I have to go through in this kind of, or more or less everyone is same only, nothing specific I have to look into. It's like a matured industry, matured, promoters, everything is stabilized, historicals are there. Is there
Very good
something
question,
which
ma'am. Yeah, very good question. We have to go for middle way. So because these green technologies, these are relatively new, not as mature as thermal, coal and gas. So so not all the technologies are very mature. New advancements are happening. So we have to identify project specific risk also, promoter level risk also. But these projects, for example, startup by definition, each startup is unique. So in a startup, we dig more deeper into promoter and business model. Here, battery storage is battery storage, solar is solar. So that way, technology, though is new, it will not vary much from client to client. Promoter also for relatively new kind of for battery storage, because it is new, so we might need to do little bit of research about developers, because as I said, sometimes players get attracted by government's schemes, and many players who do not have synergy or who do not have related experience of operating in green or industrial sector, they come. So definitely that is a risk. But otherwise, technologies are comparatively mature, proven, and that is why they are being considered for 12, 15 years. But little bit of promoter research is required. Yes, ma'am.
मिला तो परवागिला इतना बड़ा है
So I have to leave for another meeting. So if any question is there, otherwise my number will be there with the Vijay Lakshmi ma'am. You can, my mobile number will be there. You can call me, you can mail me.
Yes, sir. It was very, very insightful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Vijay, you can end the session.
She's not there. Shilpa, you can only do the same. You are the host.
Oh, thank you.